You're tuned in to the Redhead 47, where we'll be breaking down my new book, Inside Job, Decoding the Red Pill Employee Handbook. And today we're going to be talking about the original pygmy, also known as Big Mama, Nana, and Grandma. These are the women that set the precedents for abuse. In an era when women were silenced in marriages and relationships with religion and obedience, she normalized the abuse that happened in the household amongst her children, which was then passed down to their children and then to their children. Grandma would dismissively claim that it was acceptable for your uncle to touch you, labeling it as him just being a man. And this cycle of abuse was handed down to everyone underneath her as the matriarch of the family. Come with me as we dive into the original pygmy. So I'm going to take the time to dive right into the original pygmy, grandmama. This archetype romanticizes past generations, believing that women should embrace the roles that their grandmothers played. She dismisses modern ideas of equality, insisting that each woman should stay in their place and be rewarded with lasting relationships. And I'm going to give a scenario what that looks like. And we'll say her name is Angela. Angela frequently tells her friends, my grandmother stayed with my grandfather even when times were rough. And that's why they stayed married for 50 years. While ignoring the fact that her grandmother was unhappy and had no financial means to leave the marriage. Angela tolerates her now boyfriend's disrespect because she believes that loyalty will eventually lead to a commitment. That is the harm that children witness through their mothers when they watch them enduring disrespect as they grow up, and they believe that unhealthy relationships are normal. That's why they say things like, my grandmother or my mom and my dad been married 50 years and they've gone through a lot. Well, in marriages, not even just marriages, in relationships, you do go through a lot, especially when you are dealing with people that are combative. They don't like to listen. They want to be in control. And so when you put that with someone who's trying to work with someone and you're met with resistance because they have to beat you down, she becomes a mirror of who he is. And when she's rearing the children, this is what they experience. The so-called traditional man never picks them though. And why? Because they're too easy. I'm going to share a story about my grandmother. And I will leave you guys with this story. She is very religious. All of my aunts and uncles were religious. Most of them were ministers. But this is the woman that raised them. Take a listen. So I am writing a book, and the name of that book is called I Was 4. And the book talks about me being a sexual abuse survivor by my bio father. And so in writing this book, I've had several of my family members reach out to me. And there are things that they're telling me that they want me to share in the book. But they're not my story, but it's their story. So I'm trying to right now figure it out. And one of the stories that came up during those conversations was my grandmother, which would be my father's mother. And I never really meshed with her as a child. There was always something about her to me that wasn't right. And that cousin shared with me that they went to my grandmother and told my grandmother that one of my uncles, which would be my dad's brothers, was molesting her. Not only molesting her, having full-on sexual intercourse with penetration. And that my grandmother said, that is okay. That's just a man being a man. It's going to hurt, but you will be fine.
Now, I'm not saying that it was your grandmother, but it was definitely mine.